Hello, writers. Welcome back. So, if you've been reading with us from the mixed up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler, you've probably realized that this is a lovely book, but also like a strange one. But, all right, what makes it so strange? At first, it seems very simple. We have a young girl who is very smart and calculating, right? She decides to run away and live in a glamorous place, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City. Wonderful idea, by the way. And she takes her brother with her. So all of this is like very clear. We know this from the first page, from the first paragraph, even. It's really all laid out very factually and very succinct. But what is not so clear is there's this mysterious letter addressed to a certain lawyer that is written by a certain Miss Basil E. Frankweiler. And we have a lot of unanswered questions here. So it brings up questions like, who is writing this story? Who's the narrator of the story? And what is the story about? So even more strange as we continue reading is that there's little interruptions throughout the book where we get the narrator's voice addresses Mr. Saxonburg. So, for example, in the top of page 7, the narrator is just describing Claudia's plan to run away. And then in parentheses, we read, quote, "Since you always drive to the city, Saxonburg, you probably don't know the cost of train fare. I'll tell you." And that goes on. And so just as we were thinking that we're reading a story about Claudia Kincaid, we are like zoomed back out and we realize we're actually reading a story within a story. Pretty cool, right? So this multiple levels of storytelling and point of view and narration is one of the things that makes this book just super unique. It's really one of a kind in this way. So while it seems like a very interesting and gripping story, there's a lot of like other little creative and writerly layers at work. All right, pretty clever. So how do we bring this back to our own writing? So this is a creative writing prompt, after all. So for your creative writing prompt, we are going to practice writing multiple layers of point of view. So this story within a story. All right, how do we begin something like that? First, I would like you to write your plan as if you were going to run away. So where would you go? Things like this. You can use a direct tone, like Claudia uses in the beginning. You can give a lot of information up front. You can make it more of a story. You decide and leave those, creative opportunities up to you. Just make sure that you are giving your reader answers to your plan. So the questions you should be giving answers to are, who are you? Why are you running away? To where are you going? And how do you want to get there? All right, so who you are, why you are running away, where you're running away to, and how are you going to manage this? So this is basically all the information that we know about Claudia in the beginning. So we're trying to replicate what the story is doing here. So first part is you write that part as if you were Claudia or whoever kind of character you want to embody and describe your plan for running away. All right, that's part 1. If you would like to end there and that's sort of where you are at in your process, then you don't have to continue any further. That's a perfectly fine place to write from and be. And if you would like to add a little bit more of a challenge, we're going to get into our next layer, which is the story within the story. So after you've done your first written part, then invent another character that is going to be telling the story of you running away. So the character that you pick can really be anyone. For instance, it could be a police officer that found you, who's then writing a police report. It could be a family member sharing the news of the story to someone else, or a journalist, for instance, who is maybe writing the story for a newspaper or publication. But anyone who would maybe know why or how you had come to were running away, and why they would be telling someone else about it. So that the character maybe decided what kind of relationship they might have to you or the person that they're going to be talking to you about. But whatever you decide, I give journalist, family member, or police officer as kind of really good sort of guides for that. But if you want to pick something else, go wild. All right. Just to be sure that you start writing your paragraph or page or whatever it is that you're writing in the voice of that character, and then switch into your own voice about why you are running away. So you want to have these mix and levels of two. So start off with being the police officer and writing the report about who's running away. Switch into the person who you are, or the character you are running away, and describe that. And then if you want to further make it more complicated, I mean, I feel like we're already pretty complicated, but if you want to make it more complicated, then you can add these little interruptions where Frankweiler does when she dresses Saxonburg. So you can, in the middle of describing your plot to run away, you can have the police officer interrupt and saying, "Oh, I was off my shift. I mean, that time that we were in the police car together," whatever. You can make little moments and little asides so the main character who's a narrator interjects at these certain moments, and that kind of gives it a little bit more texture and a little more difficulty. I am so excited to read what you come up with. I can't wait to hear the different characters and scenarios you guys describe. So I hope you will share your work, as always, in the comments or share with a friend. It's so fun to read and write together and see what you guys come up with. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll see you next week for your next creative writing prompt.